Welcome to another episode of the Crypto Spenther podcast. This one's going to be published a little late, but hey, it's coming out. So first up, more altcoins are coming to Coinbase, says CEO Brian Armstrong. So Coinbase is planning on some major upgrades for 2018. Specifically, they're increasing their exchange infrastructure to handle more people, not be down on high loads, all that jazz. They're also expanding coins. They're usually pretty slow about adding new coins. They have relatively higher standards compared to a lot of other exchanges. But yeah, finally expanding coins. What can we expect? Well, I expect Ripple, since it has a lot of institutional backing, and it makes sense because it fits within their new custodial service that they're going to offer. So I think that's the number one contender. Bitcoin Cash is a possibility too, just because how crazy their supporters are. So I wouldn't put it past them to offer Bitcoin Cash, as they also, distribute whatever Bitcoin Cash their clients have while like the split happened and they were holding it in Coinbase. So I think that's a strong case for Bitcoin Cash and Ripple to be added to Coinbase. Monero would be cool, but I feel like it has way too many legal burdens that would eventually happen. Trading USD to Monero or anything like that. So I'm 100% almost certain that Ripple's going to be it. Could still be wrong, but I don't think I think Ripple's one of the ones, and Bitcoin Cash has a high likely chance of being another one. Anything else is a guess to me. Neo seems a little sketchy because the whole ICO related things, and I'll talk about that later. And I don't really know all that much about Dash, honestly. So I can't say if it really fits within the little criteria Brian Armstrong is looking for. And that's really it for contenders. It'd be Neo, Dash. Can't see anything else. So next up, transaction fees for Bitcoin is doubling nearly every 3 months. So Bitcoin transactions are growing, pretty expensive, around $10 to $15 usually for people who don't change the fees. So most people don't change the fees because they don't know how to or where they can, or they're stuck with a service that charges high fees by default. And this kind of shows the importance of second layer solutions, because even if you lower the fees, that usually means that your transaction is going to take a bit longer, and for Bitcoin that's always hours to fully be confirmed, unlike some altcoin alternatives that are usually done in some cases in minutes, but usually it's under an hour. So I think we'll see the solution to these fees soon, and by soon I mean sometimes by summer next year. That's when I think most of the basic implementation for all this Lightning Network in particular should be ready, because development pace is pretty good right now. We're not going to have to wait forever for fees to get manageable again, hopefully. But yeah, basic implementation, probably see fees go down a little bit, the network gets a little bit faster, unless something crazy catastrophic happens. And hopefully this Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash debate dies as second layer scaling shows to be the superior option. South Korea permitting cryptocurrency exchanges under 6 conditions, and failing these 6 conditions will lead up to 5 years imprisonment or 50 million won fine, which is about $46,000. So here are the 6 conditions. Number 1, customer funds must be stored separately from the exchange's funds. So number 1, I think, is something that should be on every exchange's like rules, because there's definitely some exchanges that get allegations that they're using customers' funds to margin trade or just mishandling customer funds in general for the exchange's benefit. There's always been allegations of that, and this is something that definitely needs to be put a stop to. Number 2 is exchanges must provide users with a thorough explanatory warning of investment risk. Pretty basic, fair enough too. Next, exchanges must confirm their users' names and identities. This is going to be something that rolls out international. You will have a very hard time buying crypto anonymously, totally anonymously soon, because anonymous nature, governments don't like that. People might say, but local Bitcoin. The thing about local Bitcoin is, if you use it too often, you could find yourself in jail, at least in the United States. Because as a seller, you're like a money facilitator or some kind of weird thing that needs a license. And being a frequent buyer will probably put you on the radar of some government agency because they think you're doing something illegal since you're buying it through local Bitcoins. Next up, exchanges must establish an adequate anti-money laundering system. This is kind of vague, and we'll see how this specific rule develops. They must provide proper asset protection, such as dispersion of users' cryptographic keys. I feel like this is something that also should be already in place in most exchanges, and anyone that's not doing this is really handling their customers' funds, funds really badly and putting themselves at risk for a big security issue if they're hacked or anything along that nature. And the final rule is all exchanges must make all order book bids public to increase transparency, which I think most exchanges have all their order book bids public. So next up, man is robbed of 1.8 million Ether at gunpoint. Basically, this guy was set up by a friend and they tried to force him to give all his crypto up. He managed to escape, and the friend who set him up got arrested, and the accomplice who helped him still out. But it's kind of concerning considering 1.8 million Ether, well, in Ether, that's a lot of US dollars. And as Ether goes up, that 1.8 million is going to turn to like 3 million probably in a year or two. So kind of goes to show how dangerous it can be to tell people about how you hold crypto or any of that stuff. And really makes me wonder how more prominent figures handle security, like Ian Bellina. He publicly showed that he made over $1 million now from all his ICO investing, and how recently Andreas Antonopoulos had over 1 million donated to him by the Bitcoin community. So security is definitely going to be a big thing for them soon, if it's not already is, as I expect more of these kind of things to go down. And there might not be like robbers that have even the most basic idea of what they need to even access these funds. Like, obviously the guys who robbed this dude knew they needed this dude alive to access the funds before anything could go down. But imagine someone who just thinks like a treasured hardware wallet, it's like a flash drive, and they could just plug it in somewhere and get all the money. They could end up killing somebody and the funds are just locked. So we'll see. I think the best thing would be have multiple wallets and multiple hardware, maybe even software wallets, and split the gains among those, so the whole security risk is lessened, or it turns into like a kind of a treasure hunt to find them all. But it's definitely going to be dangerous for crypto millionaires. Bloomberg Terminal is adding Ethereum, Litecoin, and Ripple. Not surprising, since these coins are really big and have a lot of popularity behind them, and Ethereum and Ripple in particular really are trying to work with big institutional people. So the fact that Ripple's added to the Bloomberg terminal, I feel like that also kind of supports my hypothesis that Ripple is going to be one of the coins added to Coinbase, because it's definitely one of the safer coins to add, and Coinbase is only going to probably add relatively safe coins. And I'm sure someone will make an argument about that, since I said Bitcoin Cash as a possibility, but remember, I said it only because how fervent the followers of Bitcoin Cash are. Next up is an American woman who was arrested for laundering Bitcoins to fund Islamic State operations. So Bitcoin wasn't really the primary cause here. The primary cause was she was able to take out fraudulent loans to even buy these Bitcoins to launder into cash to send off to the ISIS. So can't really be blamed solely on Bitcoin, but I'm sure headlines are, oh, Bitcoin enabled this. I mean, in a way, yeah, but it just, the fact that she managed to get the fraudulent loans, she could have laundered it some other way if Bitcoin wasn't around. So next up, happier thing. So this user named Pine is a pretty big Bitcoin philanthropist, because they're an early adopter who has decided to give back to the community, and they have basically committed around 5,000 Bitcoins. Yep, 5,000 Bitcoins, which is currently around 85-90 million. Depends on where it's fluctuating, but yeah, they're committing this amount of Bitcoins to various charities that they support that kind of align with their interests. Yeah, it's pretty cool. They said they are also a creator of a cryptocurrency, so that's interesting. I'm sure someone will try to find out who this is, because that really narrows it down, but I think they're smart enough to kind of prevent that, like make sure the connections aren't there and all that. I think it's a pretty good act, probably spurred on from the other generosity of the Bitcoin community with Andreas, and hope we can see more people donating their money to causes they believe in as Bitcoin rises to crazy heights. Because if you have like 100 millions in Bitcoin, you're not gonna fully utilize or even be able to fully make liquid that 100 million in any kind of quick. That'd be on like a multi-year liquidation, most likely, without, if you're trying to not completely destroy the market. So the fact that it's donating these Bitcoins over time, and right now they gave out, I think it was like $1 million worth to around 5-ish organizations, and I think $500,000 to 2 more. It's a good start, and I'll be interested to see if they keep it like at a dollar amount, or they kind of commit the same amount of Bitcoins as it continues to rise in value. But I think they'll just give another $1 million next year, or however, whatever timetable they're working on for their donations. But good to see something really, really positive to occur in the Bitcoin community, that it is to a benefit of a wider range of people, rather than just someone who invested in something or, you know, used certain technology. So next up is Neo's has its first ICO template. The most interesting thing about this is the fact that their ICO template, like, it's enabling, that's like the software part of it, that it allows built-in refund capabilities, and it can handle rejected transactions. It won't even allow funds to be sent if the crowd sells over, which is a pretty big thing. The only problem is ICOs are really slowing down, and Neo's in China, and that makes it even more iffy. You probably won't see the traffic Ethereum scene because all this new regulations that clamping down on ICOs, but it seems like it's trying to be as compliant as possible. And you can't even use this, like, can't even have your money accepted in an ICO that's on this platform, because it has know your customer regulation, that the address has to be validated with an ID before any funds will be accepted. So you would have to validate your ID way before you try to invest in any ICO, or you'd probably miss out, because, you know, sell out in minutes. Or if the ICO is smart, it will do a crowd sale that's more conductive to not being based on donating fast and early, but encourage a more spread out monthly. But usually, even when that happens, it's a few days. If a few days or less, depending on how hype the ICO is, and 24 hours has basically been super common for majority of them that are widely publicized about. The more under the cover ICOs usually actually don't get fully funded if they're trying to raise way too much. But 1 million, 500,000, those type of ICOs usually got through because people thought they were quick flip, low market cap, and all that stuff. But expect things to change in 2018 with all this legal regulation on ICOs and clampdowns from basically governments worldwide. Next up is a U.S. Treasury report says how crypto has no effect on the water economy. So they're saying it's not much to worry about crypto crashing the economy. It doesn't have the capability because it's limited user pool and market cap size. They're also more skeptical about people utilizing the underlying technology for storing data on decentralized system rather than centralized ones, more than the fact that it's used as speculative assets or possibly used for financial infrastructure, which I find interesting that they're more concerned about decentralized data than people throwing money at some things, some crypto projects that won't even come to fruition probably. But I totally see where they're coming from, since it definitely is a limited amount of people around the globe. It won't have that much of a wave on the wider economy unless somehow these future options help crash it, but I doubt the futures are gonna have that drastic of an effect. Next up, cryptocurrency clampdown approved by the EU to fight terrorism. So more regulation, basic know your customer stuff. Interesting, limits will be put on how much prepaid cards can buy on the exchange, and they are making buying Bitcoin and other crypto as they're ripping as much as anonymous abilities as possible. So this might actually have a net gain on Monero, funny enough, but expect people to come up with interesting ways to buy crypto without having to completely give up their information. You might find yourself seeing people exchanging things for crypto, kind of like equivalent value, which that'll be pretty interesting to see if there's some dark website that facilitated like bartering like physical items for crypto, so people didn't have to give up their anonymous thing, their information. That sounds completely illogical, but it's a funny thought to think about, that if laws got so strict that people would be bartering physical goods for digital goods. And digital goods, Parity, will not pursue this hard fork idea. It's 100% official now. There's been a lot of conflict in the community about this, and they finally went with, we're not going with the hard fork idea at all. I mean, I don't think it was going to happen anyway, because like I said last time, the Ethereum developer crucified that idea. But now it's official that it will definitely not happen, and they might just have to wait until Ethereum's planned hard fork for them to include some kind of fix in that. And the final big topic is 2018. This year, central banks begin buying cryptocurrency. So this is more like kind of opt-eddy, but I included this just because I've been talking about this with a friend. A lot of people think Bitcoin is going to overthrow the entire financial market and usher in some kind of new age for individuals, the tech savvy and all that. I think it's kind of a utopian idea for people with the more ANCAP kind of thinking. I think this article is closer to the reality, and even then I think the article is a little too optimistic. It says central banks will adapt crypto and kind of use it as an international standard to hedge against the wider economy performance. So even when a country is going down to the drain, everything's bad, they'll have crypto there to hedge their bets and keep that monetary gain for themselves positive instead of negative. And this article kind of suggests that these central banks are going to start doing this next year. I don't think you'd see it on a global scale that fast, because there's definitely countries that are completely suspicious of crypto. I think you could see major finance organizations to be the ones that start buying up lots of cryptocurrencies to hedge, but I don't think entire governments are gonna really go gung-ho in a whole year. Within the next 10 years, definitely, but not 1 year. Crypto is going to be the thing to hedge bets against reality, basically. I mean, we already see North Korea, Venezuela, both of them using crypto. Probably will see Iran using it soon too. And it's going to show the power, how it will circumvent whatever bad's happening in the country to be a means of exchange that anyone anywhere will accept without kind of having any kind of barriers in place. But that might change soon, considering all this new regulation and Bitcoin isn't fully anonymous. So soon there might be more obstacles for countries and people using Bitcoin as an escape from other higher entities or authorities. But overall, I think this was a decent article. Look at it in the sources. It's still too optimistic, like I said, but crypto is definitely going to be more adopted than overthrowing anything. Things adapt sometimes when they're forced to change, and I don't think this blockchain or Bitcoin's too major of a change to completely destroy the current way finance is handled. It will surely make changes, but I think it will be more absorbed into these various organizations than be something that totally destroys them and revamps them. Maybe in the long term, with the type of people who are in crypto getting involved with these places, but that all seems too optimistic. So just expect your money's still going to go up, up, up if you have Bitcoin, but don't expect some kind of political change because of it. At least not anytime in the foreseeable future. And that'll be it here. Late episode, like I said. Don't forget to rate and review. Now that I'm fully free time wise, like I said, the episodes will get more timely soon, TM, and revamps will happen. The only problem is holidays coming soon, so I'll be busy when I have to head back home, and might be slow. And also next Monday's episode, I don't know if there will be one. I'll try. There will still be a Thursday, 100%, but next Monday, if I can't get one out, like if I can't record it early, it might not be able to happen. So if you don't see an episode next Monday, no, it's because Monday's Christmas. And that's it. see you Thursday, and maybe we'll see you guys Monday too on the next Crypto Spendthrift podcast episode.